How are we doing today, everybody on YouTube? It's Stevie here. It is February 4th. I take my glasses off. I don't need to have them on. A glare on you. From the sleeper of the Volvo. I didn't make it home tonight. You folks that know I drive truck for a living. Um, some of you know that. Maybe you don't. But yeah, I didn't make it home tonight. So I'll get home tomorrow sometime early morning, mid morning. And we'll take on the day from there. But I wanted to make this video. Sorry I've been absent. I was really wanting to be more dedicated to this channel than I have been, and I've just, to be honest with you, I've just been lazy. That's it. That's the only excuse I got, and it's not a very good one. I'll try to do better. But that being said, we're here today, and I want to talk just a little bit. I'm not going to make this too awful long, but we're going to talk just a little bit about Jeff Zucker, Nancy Pelosi, Mitch McConnell, and and the media complex. And a couple things that I've noticed. we'll start with we'll start with the media complex. All of our media, of our national media, comes from a very small number of people. I don't know how many people are in the uh, uh, press room, the daily briefing that they give at the White House, but I know that room used to be a swimming pool where they do that at. I don't remember if it's Teddy Roosevelt or who it was. Somebody had a swimming pool in that room, and they closed in the swimming pool and made it the press room. I'll do a little research to find out when they did that. It was maybe better to put it back in as a swimming pool. Uh, but there's not very many people. You've got Fox News, you've got the big three, ABC, CBS, and NBC, and you've got uh, a few cable shows that primarily are people's main sources of information. We've got some local news around, I'm sure, as you do in your part of the country, that sometimes you get maybe a 5, 20 second, 30, maybe a minute hit from a Washington, D.C. correspondent or from a New York correspondent. But basically, the news is coming from, they're just feeding it from those sources to the local folks, the AP Newswire, um, maybe some local national public radio or or things like that. But it all pretty much comes from that very small group. And why I bring that up is something that came up this week, which I'm sure that most of you that follow very much news at all uh, know that president of CN, he used to be with one of the uh, President Trump on as the for The Apprentice. So whatever show that was on, I don't even know what show that was on. I didn't watch it either. Um, I got into a little bit of mischief this week. Actually, got into the mischief some time ago, but he had to step down from his job this week uh, because he was having a relationship with somebody that worked for him. Uh, she was not like an intern. She was a vice president in charge of uh, PR or something like that, which I think what her trade was. Uh, they'd known each other for years and years and years. This isn't about that. What I'm going to talk about. I don't particularly care about that one way or the other. or the sordid details that you can easily find out. Maybe not all the sordid details, but enough details that make you kind of go, that seems odd. But uh, that's not the point of this. And how he, some would say, absolutely took what used to be, when I would say, when Ted Turner made it, created it, uh, a really one of a kind um, entity. When CNN started, there really wasn't anything else like it in the cable news space. There was no cable news space. A bit like Rush Limbaugh with a syndicated national radio show, it had kind of been tried a little bit and didn't quite work. And he was able to figure out how to him and his team how to make it work. The same thing with Ted Turner and CNN. They were able to figure out how to make it work and become very popular, very uh, profitable, and very informative. I don't know that far back when they first started. Were they that left leaning? I don't recall, but everything was so left leaning then. It's hard to. I can't remember back if they were or they weren't. They definitely weren't as left leaning as they are now under Mr. Zucker's uh, stewardship. And even that is an issue for sure. But that's not even what I really want to get into today about that situation either. I just want to comment on he was friends with Donald Trump until it was advantageous to not be. When ratings for CNN was better for CNN when they went after Donald Trump. Here or there, that's business, I guess. But this is the part that's troubling. He is the president of CNN. The woman who is his lady friend, whether she was at the time this all happened or not, I don't know. I don't care. Had previously worked on Andrew Cuomo's staff. Andrew Cuomo is exclusively on CNN through the COVID with the most glowing of treatment. And what I heard on the news today, whether it's true or not, I don't know. I think it was on Megyn Kelly that I heard it. I don't remember if she said it or if it was one of her folks that was on there with her. I think it was on a couple days ago. I just heard it today. But, excuse me, was that was an exclusive deal that he could only be on CNN. They wanted him only on CNN. And that he actually moved the briefing, that daily briefing that he won an Emmy for, moved it to 11:30 because it was better for CNN. Then they have his brother do softball interviews with him periodically on his show, anti-Trump, anti-whatever, softball questions. Do you see how this could be a conflict in this? I wasn't upset with Chris Cuomo for helping his brother when his brother was in a bad spot with the allegations and the um, nursing home problems and things like that. I mean, what would a brother do? You're going to help your brother if you can. That's why you don't have a brother interviewing another brother about it in the middle of the worst pandemic since the Spanish flu. You know, you see what I? But they're all in cahoots together. It was good for Andrew Cuomo, raises his level to where they wanted to replace Joe Biden with him, and all of those things that came out about him later, in terms of with the women, they all knew that before that. They all knew that before they said he should be the nominee, not Joe Biden, or the glowing um, coverage he was getting from all the different media sources. Writing a book, he wrote a book in the middle of a pandemic. Now, if you're the governor of one of the, well, California's probably the most populous state, but New York's got to be second, I would think. Wouldn't you think you got more important things to do? And got a big paycheck to write it? Have you noticed, and this happens on Fox News as well, um, similar names, the Duceys um, jump to mind. Uh, you years ago, before his son passed away, I believe his son was doing news coverage for Fox News. Um, those people in the morning show on Scarborough and Nina, is it Nina Brzezinski? Whatever her name is, husband and wife. Now, I think they became husband and wife after they were on the show together. But um, Chris Wallace and you know his dad on 60 Minutes. And if you start to peel the layers back, that pool is really not very big from those people like that, connected people on the East Coast and the West Coast. Uh, but this is primarily an East Coast problem. The West Coast problem is more cultural and entertainment wise. But this on the news side would be more on the East Coast, I would say. The internships and staff work that a lot of these folks do for politicians, or it's a small club is what I'm saying. How are we supposed to get a straight story when all the participants are in cahoots with each other? You're not going to. I should have put on the title of this, they're all in cahoots, because I've used that word 3 times now. But I don't know what else to call it. They're all friends. They all socialize together. They all help each other's children. They help each other's careers. They're reference for each other. That they they're all connected. Um, I'm going to verify this, so what I'm about to say might not be exactly accurate, but it's not far from accurate. I might not have all the details right, but it's close. Mitch McConnell's wife, Elaine Chao, is the daughter of the largest, her family, largest shipping company that hauls freight between China and America. Now think about that for a minute. How does that relationship happen? Maybe they're madly in love. I don't know. I'm not saying they're not. But how does that relationship happen? Is what I'm saying. So this is both sides of the aisle. This is not just on a Democrat issue. This is on both sides of the aisle that this goes on. How many people? Um, I love Kayleigh McEnany. I thought she did a great job as President Trump's press secretary. But how is it she ends up at Fox News? Uh, Republican senators or House members, mostly House members, I guess, who end up as contributors, Fox News contributor. Um, how much access did they give while they were a senator or a House member, hoping to grease those wheels? How much access is given because if these folks know if they get voted out, then they can go be a lobbyist on K Street for somebody and make several $100,000 for a few years. I doubt that Paul Ryan left uh, to just go back to Wisconsin and deer hunt. I'm thinking he's probably got something else going on. Um, why is it that Nancy Pelosi and Mitch McConnell are in their 80s and still trying to stay in power? They don't have a hobby? I think there's more to it than that. And on the Nancy Pelosi front, I'll get these numbers more nailed down, but the gist of it, what I'm telling you, is true. Nancy Pelosi and her husband, the last 3 years, 4 years, has outperformed every investment company by like 30 or 40%. Her portfolio that she has to report has outperformed Warren Buffett. Um, I'm trying to think of other great stock pickers. Um, the everyone by 30 or 40%. Now, how does that happen? And when they ask her about it, she's almost offended that why shouldn't be a member of Congress be able to take advantage of our free capitalist system? Well, one reason might be is because it's an unfair playing field and you have information that no one else has. If you think that um, elected officials should make more money, well, that's an argument to be made. I'm not saying they should make more or should make less. I don't know. Um, Dr. Fauci is the highest paid federal employee in America and makes 400 and some thousand. And is he worth that? Well, it's hard pressed to say he's worth it for the last 2 years that we've seen him, but that doesn't. I don't know enough. I hate to say what somebody doesn't do until I know exactly what it is they do. Basically, best I can tell, what he has done, is managed to be in a position that pays really well and stayed there for about 35 years. So as a government worker, you get longevity bonuses or pay raises. So maybe that job started at 250,000. I don't know what I don't know what a job like his is worth. I don't know in the private sector. So to say that he's not worth that working for the government, I don't know that number. Is what I'm saying. All I'm saying is he makes a lot of money. And there's some issues with him and other other things financially. I had a Burger King earlier. I will have heartburn tonight, but it was good. So um, I try not to eat that late, but I did it anyway. Anyway, so back to the nuts and the bolts of this thing. Um, they're all intertwined together. Do you think Mitch McConnell is going to do anything about Nancy Pelosi's stock trading? No, he's not, because he's doing the same thing. He's not only figuratively in bed with the Chinese. Uh, he is by proxy through his wife. Um, I think it was Glenn Beck that said, "Do you think there's going to be a real investigation into uh, the Biden's ties with China?" No, because so many of the politicians are right in bed there with him, with the Chinese. Universities taking money from the Chinese. Nobody's given us a fair. The American people are smart enough to make the proper decisions on the direction of our country if they're given the right information, and they've not been given the right information. Bad information out, in, bad product out. Kind of what's what's the computer, bad code in, bad code out, or something they say. I don't remember exactly what that phrase is. I'm not a computer programmer. Um, but I've noticed something. Glenn Beck, one example. Tucker Carlson, another example. Megyn Kelly, another example. When those folks moved out of the city, how their perspective maybe changed. Maybe not Glenn so much, but I think Tucker is a lot different now that he doesn't live in that Washington Beltway than he was just a couple years ago. And not that he wasn't great a couple years ago, because I think the world of Tucker Carlson. Um, but it seems like he sees things a lot differently now than he did before. Megyn Kelly, who I like very much, I thought she was kind of rough on President Trump, but that's okay. In that first debate, well, it was the first debate, but that Fox debate, but that's okay. He's a big kid; he can take it, and so I'm not I don't hold a grudge against her for that. Um, and then you look at who sides on who as to how things go. The Whoopi Goldberg thing that happened. I have no axe to grind with Whoopi Goldberg. I've enjoyed her movies along the way. And years ago, when she used to do a little bit, they did that. Didn't her? It was her and uh, Robin Williams and Billy Crystal that did Comic Relief. I think it was. Wasn't she in that group that started that? A wonderful thing, and she can be very funny, and so this isn't. I have no criticism of her personally, um, but when she comes up with some stuff that's just bat crap crazy, best I can tell, and but that's okay. That's her opinion. I mean, she can come up with anything crazy she wants. Um, Especially, you would think if you're on a show called The View, that every once in a while your view might be crazy. If I can get this to take off here and start doing a lot more of these commentaries for you, every once in a while I'm going to say something that's crazy. Um, I may say something, most likely, that's not accurate. I'll think it's accurate. I would never lie to you, but I would think that it's accurate, and it won't be. I'll be wrong. Well, if I am, that doesn't make me a racist or make me a homophobe or make me any kind of other phoberism. Just makes me wrong. And the same goes with her. Um, I don't think she should have been suspended. Um, Definitely, I don't think she should have been fired. But they will not give that same grace. Look at poor Roseanne Barr. She says back crap crazy stuff too. But they want her practically exterminated in terms of uh, her career, her any kind of social media or anything like that, or ability to work. Well, that's not right either. That wasn't fair to do that to her for saying something that you could easily take offense at if you wanted to or not. And the same thing with Whoopi. You could take offense to that if you wanted to or not. Um, And a lot of folks that know her personally, Whoopi, I mean, they came to her defense and said, it's not really right. That's not who she is, and all those kind of things. I have no reason to doubt them. I don't think she's anti-Semite. I just think she was wrong. What she said. Well, a bunch of people come on and have a debate about that then, and kind of sift through it a little bit and flush it out a little bit and peel back the onion, so to speak, and see. They would say we need to have a conversation. We need to have a conversation. Really, they don't want a conversation. They want a lecture. Um, and it's hard not to fall trap to the irony of that table at the View has coveted canceling people and would show no grace if it was a conservative who done something like that. And so the hypocrisy is glaring, of course, but just because the other side may be hypocrites doesn't mean that our side needs to join suit and be hypocrites with them. And uh, so I think this is a great opportunity for our generation. And when I say that, I speak of millennials, which is not my generation, that's one under me, and Gen Xers, that's who I am, to really make our mark on this country. We will be the generation that either lost it or saved it. And we have great opportunity in front of us. With great peril comes great opportunity. With great tragedy or danger comes a chance for people to be heroic. There are no heroes at a garden party. I guess unless somebody starts choking on the hors d'oeuvres, if you get my point. So this is the time that we need to decide, and a lot of it comes down to just a simple thing, um, and it happened when we were younger, maybe not in everyone's home, but in a lot of homes. Of you would, let's say, you wanted to go out to a function, and maybe it was far away, or maybe it was late at night if you had a curfew. I never had a curfew, but we got up early to work the next day, so you didn't stay out late because you had to get up early. Um, but let's say you wanted to do something, and you asked your parents or guardian, whoever, and they said, uh, no, no. And you would be mad and you'd be hurt, and you would, a lot of times, plead your case of why you should be able to do this thing. And they would nod, and when you finished your appeal, they would usually say the same thing. You made a valid point, and no, you're not doing that. It's time for us to say no to the craziness that's happening in this country. There's a small group that are crazy and out of control and have never heard the word no. And it's time for us, as the adults in the room, to say to the older adults in the room, no, you're not spending another $1 trillion on some boondoggle, once in a generation expenditure. If anyone is going to spend money on a once in a generation project, it's the generation that's going to live long enough to have to pay for it. And to the younger generations, just like you would tell your child that wants to go do something that you know is not good for them. You don't negotiate that. No, no, you ain't doing that. That's where we're at in this country. It's time for good people to say no. That's what's happening in Canada with the truckers. They're just saying no. We're not going to do it anymore. That's what Ron DeSantis has said in Florida with all these crazy mandates. No, we're not going to do that anymore. Teachers, you're going to teach, or you're not going to be a teacher anymore. Students are going to learn history so they don't repeat it. Um, you have to be able to read to get a diploma. No matter what color your skin is, if you can't pass the test, you're not going to pass the class. If you can't pass the test, we need to understand why is it that you can't pass the test, not just pass you and move you along, because it doesn't get fixed later. Um, it it really sometimes is it's just that simple. And I'm going to do my part through this platform, and Backwater Views, which it will be on, is on um, locals and Rumble. I think that Rumble, and and here on YouTube with Backwater News, and mostly under the Backwater News umbrella, and uh, and I'm going to try to speak as loud as I can to as many as will listen um, over the next months, and until I don't have a breath left, because this country is that important. It's that important that we have to stand up, because if we don't, nobody else will. This is our turn. This is our, as I heard somebody say today, I think it may have been Glenn Beck, but don't hold me to that. Um, this is our generation's World War II. It is that important. It is that big. And we have to stand together, and we have to just say no. There's more of us than there is of them. And peacefully, we don't, nothing has to be violent. Nothing has to be, uh, just no. No, we're not doing it. God bless everybody, and we'll talk again soon. Thank you so much for tuning in for tonight, and I'll try to make these a little because it's that important. So God bless everybody.